I can better get my volume up there a bit. I think John Schaefer's the first one on today. Welcome, everybody. Peter Stevenson, Pedro Foiling Sailor, Merry Christmas to you. Ed Worley, John Emmett, good morning. Emmett's on the way back. He's in the taxi headed home. He's just flown back from Villamora this morning. Ryman in Cape Town, Ogle in Annapolis, Tier DeYoung in SoCal. Yes, it is from the USA. We're saying Merry Christmas here. Jonathan Frank in Galveston, cold Galveston. Hello, Ricardo Lobato, Rio de Janeiro. Delighted to have our South American foesy on, one of several. Alistair Murray watching. We have a fantastic Alistair's Awesome Aussie anecdote today. He's saying goodbye from Melbourne, spending my birthday with you. Is it today your birthday, Alistair? Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Carlos Aviz also on in South America. Paul Homchik. Les Central in downtown San Francisco. Let's get this one off the dock.
2, 1.
Nice idea.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to our show number 576. Julia, as you heard her voice in the background, is here.
Yay.
What were you saying? Nice idea about?
To have lunch at Le Central.
Les Central. Would you rather be at Les Central or would you rather be here
Oh no,
with the Fozy and with your first show in 10 weeks?
absolutely.
10 weeks.
I cannot tell you how excited I am to be back.
Well, we're delighted to have you, too. It's been a long 10 weeks. I added it up, 16 shows.
Oh, awful.
Well, we survived barely without you. Welcome, everybody, to Studio B here at the Beach Street Yacht Club. We've got the Commodore back. I'm delighted to say she's in a different chair than she's been because she's still not walking very well, not walking at all. So we wheeled her down. I didn't wheel her, your assistant.
Yeah.
Your chief of staff, we
My
call
chief
her.
of staff, yes.
Sharon wheeled you down here today for the show.
Yep.
Let's get this one on the road. Delighted to have you all with us on this 2 days, at least here in the States, before Christmas. As we get into the pre-start, I have a new committee boat here in the pre-start. This is the boat Thorzen from the Royal Yacht Club, Alistair, the Royal Yacht Club of Victoria, right down near you in Oz. More Stevens is on. Greetings from a storm, rain, and wind 80 kilometers per hour. Battered Halifax. Yeah, the whole country, at least the lower 48 and much of Canada, is being battered by this Siberian blast combined with rain and snow. Welcome back, Julia, she's saying. Luca Craig, who's the stranger? Welcome back, Julia.
Thanks, guys. Lovely to be here.
And yes, I'm so happy that she's back. Steve Atkins, welcome home, Julia. You'd think this was the second coming of Christ. I had, since I put the show promo up last night, I've had so many comments. Bloody hell.
Oh, well, that's all right.
I'm supposed to be the star of this show,
Well,
Julia,
you
but
are,
we
but-
all know it's really you.
No.
Andrew Pindar, welcome home for Christmas. Yes, it's a Christmas miracle. She is looking great, sounding great. Julia's back. Sheet in and sail on to Christmas, Graham Sweeney's saying. Huzzah, Jonathan Frank. Look at all these great comments.
Yeah, really wonderful.
Welcome back,
Yeah.
Julia. How's the cat? I'm not sure what that means. From Jeff down in Australia. Saratoga Springs, Jamie Hutchison's on. Okay. And Paul Homchik saying that he is at Les Central. Les Central, as you know, Julia, is a very famously good restaurant in Central. It's in Central, kind of halfway between here and the business district, closer to the business district.
Yes.
Here in San Francisco. And Willie Brown is at his usual Friday afternoon, probably with Mark Corsi and a few of our other friends.
Right.
The former mayor, Willie Brown,
Uh-huh.
who put the vice president on the map in
Yes.
many respects.
Yes,
Is that
indeed.
the right way to put that?
Yeah, it was quite.
Was
quite,
that dignified,
yes,
diplomatic?
It was diplomatic.
Put the vice president on the map. They were an item for a while. When he was, I don't know if mayor or he was for a while the speaker.
Before he was mayor.
He was speaker of the state assembly. What it's called.
Yeah.
I someday I'll tell you my story about going up to
Oh, that's a great
Sacramento to try to get a permission from the governor, from the Senate, the president pro tem of the Senate,
story. Uh-huh.
and Speaker Brown.
Right.
He was the only one that knew what was going on. He called me. I walked into the office and he said, "You're the sailor man."
Yeah.
And he'd been briefed by his staff, obviously. And as I started on my spiel for the third time that day, I said I was going to tell you this someday. I'm telling you now.
Right.
He said, hang on, Mr. Eamon, we can do this. He knew the list.
Yeah.
No notes, no nothing. We can do this, 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 and this. We can't do that. There's no way we can do that. Call my chief of staff on Monday and tell me maybe they can do this and that for you. Is there anything else, Mr. Eamon? And of course, I called on Monday, and they did exactly that. He knew full well they're going to be able to do it. So Willie Brown, the honorable former mayor, and
very efficient.
he put her on the mat, on the mattress. John Schaefer, a cat. Okay, I don't know what's going on with all that, but MJ, Mary Jude Szymanski's checking in. Collingridge is here, as is Emmett. Okay, Warren Schasser's checking in from Oz. Great to see you, Julia. You look well. She does look well. She's been looking. She really wanted to do the show on Tuesday.
Yes.
And I said, Julia, just hang on. Hang on. Let's get you sorted out. Your chief of staff was not well and truly ensconced yet.
No.
Check your chair and get everything right before you come down here. But you've had a good, restful week.
Yes.
So we're delighted, as all of these guys are delighted to have you. We're in the pre-start. Let's keep going here. I want to thank Henry Menon, Sailor, Judge, Umpire, and now. Did I bring that book up to you?
No, not yet.
That book's around here. I couldn't find it.
It was a wonderful story, and I have missed out on him.
Oh, you saw the show, though.
Oh, I did.
You've seen all the shows.
Yes.
Well, I was going to hold the book up about now and show it, but
yeah.
I don't know where the hell I did it. But it's here. It arrived right after the show on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Henry, the now author, he actually authored another book for North Sales about match racing, and that was with John Cutler some years ago. But Henry was a great guest. Everybody, I think, enjoyed that. This book that he's written, it's on Amazon. It's a long book. It's a tome. He called it a tome, and it really is. Look, I'm back up. Look at how thick that book is.
Uh-huh.
And Julia, it's fine print. I mean, this is not,
Yeah.
It's a long book. Mark Husted is in Göteborg saying, nice to see in Sweden, of course, seeing Julia back. So I digress. Eric is the name of the book. Henry says it is not autobiographical. It's about a kid who grew up maybe in the low-rent district in Philadelphia. He was not from wealth or affluence, learned to sail, became a hell of a good sailor, got to the Olympics, and then fell in love with Lauren. And would he be to become the best in the world? Would it be derailed by his passion for Lauren?
And he assured us that Lauren was not his wife.
He did say it was not Friedel. It was not autobiographical.
Right.
It's a fabulous book. Thanks to Henry who came on. And at the end, Friedel slid in next to him. So we had the two of them in the shot. Talked with Friedel a bit. I've known them both since forever, a long, long time. 20 plus years.
Yeah.
And great people, terrific people, delighted to have them. And I hope you all enjoy the book. Those of you who can get it, and please do, because it's a terrific book. Available now on Amazon. $14, something like that. After our show on Tuesday, we did talk a little bit about this on Tuesday. We had the winter
solstice,
and that's what we call it in the Northern Hemisphere. But it's really the December solstice, because you in the Southern Hemisphere are also having, or had on Wednesday, a solstice. And that was your longest day of the year. It's our shortest day of the year. Thank God, Julia.
Oh, yes.
Huh?
Yes.
It's already a longer days, even though it's damn cold in much of the Northern Hemisphere, much of this country. But what day is it today, Julia? Here's your only clue.
No, it looks like nutmeg and eggnog.
It is. And it's really not today, it's tomorrow. But in honor of our friends down under, I thought we'd switch, and in honor of Christmas, we go to celebrate, at least here in the U.S., National Eggnog Day. Now, do you know where eggnog, from whence it came?
No.
What country?
I would say a British company.
You're right. A British country. Gather around the fire and sip on a creamy, frothy, festive classic seasoned with cinnamon or mixed with alcohol. The drinking show with the sailing problem with alcohol for an extra punch. It's national, at least here in the USA, tomorrow, National Eggnog Day. The only time I have eggnog, Julia, is on Christmas. And, either side of Christmas, right? Do you have it on New Year's?
Too.
Oh. National Eggnog Day. Eggnog, let me use that first. Eggnog is also known as egg milk punch when prepared as an alcoholic drink. I've never heard it called that. It's a rich and creamy dairy beverage basically made by mixing cream milk sugar and whipped eggs. It's a heart stopper.
Yeah.
To create a frothy texture. Liquor is optional, and once prepared, the drink is served chilled. Julia, what kind of liquor would you put in it?
Well, rum.
Being a sailor that you are.
Rum.
Rum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm glad to hear you say that. The origins of this sweet Christmas drink are highly debated, as well as the primary ingredients used for it. According to the Oxford English Dictionary, the word nog was used to describe a type of strong beer brewed in East Anglia, England. Others argue that eggnog was developed as a beverage in medieval Europe using piping hot milk. They had to kill all the germs.
Yeah.
First time the term was printed was in the March 26th issue of the New Jersey Journal, whatever the hell that was, or is, in 1788, referring to a man enjoying a glass of eggnog. Again, there is no consensus on how eggnog got its name. One theory suggests that the drink was first named grog, eventually evolving to eggnog. Other sources claim that nog was used in the Old English vocabulary for a strong ale, well, whatever.
Yeah.
So essentially this means that egg and nog is a nod to any drink containing eggs and alcohol. On this day, Julia, National Eggnog Day. Now, what would be an appropriate way to celebrate that, do you think?
I think by making it from scratch and enjoying it.
You think? Well, guess what?
Oh, yes. Really?
Julia,
Really?
really, I have.
A cheat.
Yeah, it's not from scratch, but I do have some eggnog here.
Oh.
Eggnog in this is Whole Foods, what they call whole paycheck because it's so expensive.
I know.
Whole Foods, one of our, and this is, see, it's brand new. You got to pull the top out of this.
Yeah.
I actually rehearsed this on camera today, obviously not going this far. Pour a little bit over ice, right, Julia?
Yes.
And you've not had any alcohol since you went into the convalescent home.
Not a drop.
Well, guess what? Guess what I have?
Woo! Yes, if I run a little off the rails, that's why.
And guess where I got that?
From my closet.
That's from your closet. I didn't have any rum here, so I went up and got into Julia's liquor closet.
Yeah.
And found not Mount Gay rum, but some extra old Barbados rum, Mount Gay rum.
Mm-hmm.
For, I don't know, how old is this?
Old enough.
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Okay, well, this is your first cocktail in 10 weeks. I kid you not. In 10 weeks.
It is.
Julia, you need to mix that with your finger or something.
Yeah.
You want a pen or you just mix that with your finger?
Well.
Yeah, what do you want? Here, you can have this St. Francis Yacht Club pen.
Yeah.
And mix it.
Yep.
Now, do you mind if I have one?
I think you should.
This is a holiday show.
I think you should. They say we may go off the rails before the end.
We may go off the air. I may not be able to push the buttons here.
Mm-hmm.
And some Mount Gay. You never put fluids near electronic equipment, right?
Right.
That's always lesson number one. I'm pouring it right next to my keyboard.
I know. How about a Kleenex?
A Kleenex? There you go. You gonna wipe your pen off?
Yep.
That sounds like a dirty joke. Julia! You can do that again. I have sound effects for your finger wave.
Yeah, that's enough.
We have a new suggested by the Fozy. They thought we should have a sound effect for your finger wave when you got back.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Ah,
happy holidays, everybody.
Yes, indeed.
As we drink here to all of you, to your good health. Mine needs it. Where's that pen?
Here.
Let me. I'll use my bloody finger. Come on. I'm a simple country boy. From Michigan. Cheers. I have more napkin. I have more Kleenex over here. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, Julia. How's this taste? Does it need cinnamon or does it need chocolate? Don't you put sprinkled chocolate on it or just cinnamon, I guess? Nutmeg.
Nutmeg. Tastes like rum. I know.
Wow.
I think we won't drink this too
Happy
quickly.
National Eggnog Day. Julia's first cocktail in 10 weeks. Ooh, that's pretty good. I might have to have some more of that. It's an attitude adjustment for a Friday. Mark Husted saying, yes, it's definitely a drinking show. Rob Sternstein is back. Lunabos, Chapin, Husted, we mentioned. First finger wave of the new Julia 2.0 here on the show.
Yep.
Let's get on to what is a new regular segment. People have enjoyed this. I had a lot of positive feedback, so I thought I'd run another Fozy Focus. And several of you have asked about this Janice Davis in Michigan who comes on here. And, of course, several of you know Clark Chapin, who knows her well, lives near her. And she is my beloved mother. Now, I went back because this is her apartment in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And believe it or not, I'm not going to run this video, the whole thing, but this was done on August 22nd, 2017. That's the America's Cup anniversary date, by the way. I was in Ann Arbor. I did what we then called TFE Live. This was our show number 43. It's 3 o'clock here in Michigan. We made it. You can hear our old theme music. Me a little lunch. Thanks, Mom. But my mother made me a little toasted cheese and soup. I stripped her apartment down to every light so we'd have enough light in her apartment to light the show. I just gotten off the air when I shot this quick video. And long story short, in those days, you could only stream with an iPhone. You had to put an iPhone in a tripod. This is how we started out, shot the show on the iPod. I had, as you'll see here, I had a television screen in the early days. There it is, over my shoulder, on which I displayed the slides. There was no picture-in-picture. There was none of that. And no, it was just one single camera because you couldn't stream except from a phone. There's an audio mixer there into which we plugged a microphone so the audio was better. You weren't just taking the audio off the phone.
That was our first Sailing Illustrated microphone, too.
It was. That's an old German karaoke mic that I found that Meg was using. I switched to that. I mean, that's basically how we started out 5.5 years ago. And we started here at the Beach Street Yacht Club, as you know, Julia.
Right.
But there's the tripod that held the phone. And there was the show we did at my mother's on the 22nd of August 2017, 5.5 years ago in Ann Arbor, a couple of cables, and that was literally it. Okay, enough of all that.
But it shows what you can do.
Well, it was pretty bloody amazing to be able to go live with an iPhone.
Yep.
And thanks to my mom for hosting us that day. So nice to be here, Mom. And my mother,
she looks so terrific.
This is a couple of years ago, and of course she's not a big drinker, but she was that day. I hope she's watching. She's probably taking her nap, but she often takes her nap and then watches the show on replay. This is do you recognize the Yacht Club, Julia? You recognize that bar? If Meg's watching, that's San Diego Yacht Club.
Oh, I wouldn't. I don't know.
Fabulous bar.
Yeah.
And this is my, of course, beloved mother at SDYC a few years ago. That same trip, she got to sail with Troy Sears on the yacht America. Mm-hmm. She won a national championship crewing for my dad in 1960, gosh, I think it was 64, 65, something like that.
In what boat?
In the Rebel class, a 16-foot, first production boat in fiberglass, first production sailboat.
Yeah.
And at least in this country. And she's a good sailor, crewing, and she can skipper, she can steer. Here is the love of her life and yours.
Yes.
She is so fond of Kayard, and this was an America's Cup, a National Sailing Hall of Fame induction, I think was going on there. And she got to hang out with Paul and really loved every minute of that. And I'll tell you what else. She tells a story, I think I've told it on the show before. We were at an America's Cup, probably 92, may have been 88, but roundabout. She came out to San Diego when I was running those cups. She ended up in an elevator with Dennis Conner. Yeah. Dennis said to her, or she said to Dennis, "I'm Tommy's Mike, Tommy. I'm Tommy Eamon's mom." And he's, without missing a beat, Dennis said, "Oh, I didn't know he had a mother." My beloved mother.
Yeah.
She didn't know what to think of that. And then, and tell you what, to Dennis's credit, the next day, he called. Hello? Dennis called me at home. Can I speak to your mom? Mom. He apologized. He did. He called and apologized. Got to give him full marks. So she loves Kayard.
Yes.
This is the extended brood. My brothers, and I won't detail them, my brothers and sisters and grandchildren and friends and people who we all sail together, and kind of the crowd growing up at Portage Lake. Clark Chapin will recognize many of them. This is from this summer, the infamous Fleetwood Diner, where the hippies, in fact, their most famous dish, you know what it is, Julia?
Hippie hash.
Hippie hash. And all it is scrambled eggs with everything in it that you can put in it. And this is where the musicians go after you do a gig. You play, 4-hour gig in a bar at a wedding someplace. You go to Fleetwood Diner for breakfast. They're open 24/7, or they used to be anyway. Whenever I go back to Ann Arbor, my mother and I always go there and have hippie hash. Not that either of us is very big hippies. This is the scene today in Ann Arbor, Michigan. It is blustery, and very cold. She took this picture. She's pretty good with her computer and camera. She said, "I'm snuggled in my fur blanket to watch TV," and to the show. Thanks. I may stay here all day. No surprise. It is 2 degrees. It was 0 for a while this morning, and now it's going to get up to all of 6 degrees Fahrenheit in Michigan. And of course, that's minus 14.4 centigrade. And it's not going to get any warmer. And all of you in the upper Midwest and the Northeast, actually as far south as Florida, I saw a note from Jonathan Frank that it's below freezing in Houston and Galveston, bloody cold in Texas.
It's incredible.
Here's a video.
Snow making its way over through the Great Lakes, portions of western New York. We have several
Watch
blizzard
this.
warnings
This
have
is the
already
east end of Lake Erie.
Weather correspondent Max Gordon live now in Hamburg, New York, where the lake behind you has been looking more like an ocean.
Yeah, absolutely. Waves between 14 to 18 feet expected on Lake Erie today. Incredible, just the power of Mother Nature. You can see these waves crashing alongside of us here in the town of Hamburg. Now, a neighborhood here had to be evacuated because it's so low lying. There's the threat of flooding in that neighborhood, so folks had to get out before this storm hit. And along with the waves, we're also talking about very high winds. We've already had a gust of wind measured at 72 miles an hour at Buffalo International Airport. Winds.
Did I say Lake Michigan? This is the eastern end of Lake Erie, obviously. Buffalo, New York, and they're getting lake effect snow. This report, thanks to Fox Weather. It's cold and getting colder, and there's been a lot of rain that's now freezing on the East Coast. There's a lot of snow, lake effect snow in the upper Midwest, and 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts.
Impossible.
Across that part of the country. So bloody hell. And Julia, it's cold. Well, let me look at this. Other than the very, very West Coast, where we're in the yellow, which is the 50s, and it's cold here, but you can't complain. It's winter. I don't know why people get so excited. It's winter. We had a blast like this, or 2 or 3 every winter.
Yeah.
But it is under minus 0 there in the purple in much of the heart of the country, and including my hometown up there in Michigan, which is right about there in southeastern Michigan, just outside of Detroit, about an hour. But look at all this cold. All of you up and around.
Yep.
And up here in North Dakota, South Dakota, and in Canada, it's bloody cold. 25-foot waves and 15 knots of wind, Lake Superior, Don Lunabos is saying. Yeah, it is cold. And Clark Chapin saying that means there's no water left at North Cape. North Cape is a yacht club here at the western end of Lake Erie, and literally the wind gets blown to the other end of the lake, to Buffalo, which is on the very eastern end, below the Welland Canal. It goes through Niagara Falls and up to Lake Ontario, yada, yada. But I digress. This is the low temperatures predicted for tomorrow, our Christmas Eve.
Here.
Bloody hell. Thanks to NOAA for that.
Yeah.
There's just I'm not even going to bore you with it, but there's and this is not this is not a sailing show with a weather show with a sailing habit. This is courtesy of Denise Peterson in Northern Virginia. They had the winds overnight, and then also, you can see here in her comment, wind and a flash freeze in Nova, Northern Virginia, took out many of our trees. House is okay. Love to Julia.
Thank you, Denise.
Merry Christmas. That from Denise Peterson, our Fozy, and the talk about esteemed mothers. Beloved mothers, Jeffrey Peterson's mom, both of whom, Denise and Jeffrey, have been on the show any number of times, so thanks to her for that. Before we wrap up this longest pre-start we've ever done, I just want to remind you that we are doing a show Sunday night, so in two days' time, our traditional Rolex Sydney to Hobart Yacht Race watch party, starting at 17:30 Pacific, that's 01:30 plus 1, meaning 01:30 on the 26th in Europe, or at least UTC, And 12:30 is the time down under when Channel 7 will go live, and that's when we'll pick it up. Now, I'm not streaming it in the normal way. We're not doing this to Facebook and to YouTube. I'm going to do it, as we say here, to Zoom. So I don't have any copyright strikes or any problems. That probably is okay, but I'll do a big Zoom. We've got something like 500 seats on our Zoom, whatever professional level we have. There's the ID, 267-220-6570. Passcode TFE, and I'll promote that between now and our Sunday night, Christmas night. Julia, we're going to do our Christmas dinner. You're coming down,
Saturday,
right? Saturday. And then we can relax a bit on, I have to put the show together a little bit on Sunday, our Christmas day, and we'll do the show as usual Christmas night on the 25th. Looking forward to it. Hope you can join us.
At least for part of it, because it goes on.
Well, exactly. It'll go on for a couple hours. And maybe we'll have a cocktail, Julia.
I think we ought to.
Maybe some more. This is pretty bloody good.
It is. I know.
My face getting red. My mother will think poorly of me.
Your mother will never think poorly of you. Nor
John
should
is
she.
asking, okay, you want to write? I've got promos for this code a couple times in the show, but let me do it. Let me do it one more time here so you can grab it. Those of you who are writing right now. There it is. This is the Rolex, and it is on Zoom, 267-220-6570. 267-220-6570. That's the meeting ID, the Zoom ID. And the passcode is, no surprise, TFE. Is there a show, Emmett is asking, on the 27th and or 30th? John, we're planning to do a show, yes, both next Tuesday and Friday. Now, Friday, I'm going to be traveling. So I think with the success of the show we did the other day, when I did live to tape, maybe I can get Julie to come down here Thursday afternoon, and we'll tape a show and do it live to tape. And we'll air that on Friday in the normal time on the 30th, because I'm going to be traveling, as you know, up to our dear friend Darlene's home.
I didn't know that.
Oh, you did know that? Well, it's going to be fun.
Yes.
There it is. Thanks, John Emmett. He's got it in the comments, so there it is if you need it. And we'll promo that in the meantime. That is Sunday night. Would you please support us on Patreon? Become a patron. Patreon.com/join. Sailing Illustrated. Today's show, of course, brought to you by the patrons who help us with a few bucks or more per month. We appreciate very much your support. Let's get into the starting line. And I've used this photo. This was from Henry Menon. We talked about the IC. What's that, Inter-Caribbean? I don't know what the IC stands for, but it's the Caribbean. They took these J-24s and put a Melgus kind of a cockpit in them. So they're very comfortable, wide open cockpit. And that's what we're using now, courtesy of the St. Thomas Yacht Club, St. Thomas International Regatta, STIR, down in the ISV. That's the three-letter country code for the U.S. Virgin Islands. And as usual, have you heard this music? Did I have this on before you went to the convalescent?
Yeah.
Well, you heard it you watched all the shows.
Yeah.
This is our theme song for our favorite contributor, along with Alistair, who's also doing, wait till you see Alistair's piece today. The Coach's Corner with John Emmett. He left Villamora this morning, but before he left, he filed this report. Thank you, John.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and whoever it was who said they preferred me in a cycle helmet. Here I am, final day of Villamora. First and most important job of the day, need to go and pick up Avery. I think you probably saw her standing there waving at me. We're going to continue a day in the life. Alright, welcome to Villamora Harbour. So for today's walk and talk, I thought I'd take you to the beach. This is actually the beach very close to Villamora Sailing. You can probably see it in the background. I'm currently walking away from it. In fact, I can still see a few ilkas out in the dying breeze. But yeah, nice to go for a little walk along the beach, and say it's a different beach to the one close to where Avery lives. And it's just nice to be by the sea, really. This is often where I go to get at the boat park on those days where the wind is so light that it's not sailable. So yeah, go for a little stroll and time to think as we get towards the end of the year. And one of the things I think about a lot is, why are some people successful and why are some people not? Now, of course, talent is a very important thing, but I'm a big believer in the expression that hard work will beat talent every time if talent doesn't work hard. And you know, it's no secret, we say, you know, the harder I work, the luckier I got. And yeah, good sailors make their own luck, but we need to be focused. And one of the best ways to be focused is to be goal orientated. And this is true whether you're looking at professional sport, whether you're looking at business, whatever you apply yourself to in life. I just think these goals are so important, because if you don't know what you're trying to achieve and you're not recording it, how do you know when you've been successful, and how do you get that sense of accomplishment? So we're going to be talking about SMART goals, or indeed smarter goals. So these are goals that are going to really help you achieve what you want to. And we're going to do one letter each day, and I think we should start in the new year, because I think that's when a lot of people will be looking at refocusing and re-energizing themselves for the new year. So that's going to be our FOSI focus. And yeah, hope everybody has a very Merry Christmas. I'm going to sit here for a bit and enjoy the waves. I'm really looking forward to next season, and best wishes to everybody.
And he ends with the Ukrainian flag, of course. John Emmett, thank you very much for all you've contributed this year.
Absolutely.
And you know, it is Peter Taylor saying, yeah, it's a very nice report. And I was actually, I sent you that video, Julia, about luck, about the YouTuber and Ali Abdaal in London.
Yes.
And I said, John, it was funny because he just sent me a note about, you know, I don't really want to talk about luck. I don't even use the word.
Right.
I said, well, that's coincidental, because I'm just now I was sending him a link to that same video about luck. And it's obviously, it's not luck in the serendipitous sense of the word. It's luck that you, as John said, harder I work, the luckier I get. But this very interesting video.
And recognizing opportunities.
Yeah, 5 elements that make one luckier, meaning really, meaning one more successful.
Yeah.
And I'm going to play that video, the whole thing, that this guy, he was a book review, and I'm going to get John on here with me, with us, and have him talk about these 5 elements, because you know, it's apropos, it's appropriate to sailing, it's apropos everything in life, right?
Mm-hmm. It's good.
Julia, how are you feeling about the war in Ukraine? Your honest opinion.
I wish.
Honest opinion.
I think it's too late.
What's that mean?
Well, I think the Ukrainians have taken advantage of a situation.
You think that money is not all going to the war effort? You think it's going into some people's pockets?
Yes, absolutely.
What did we just vote? What our Congress just vote? Another what? 60 billion?
A lot of money.
Billion?
A lot of money. And there's no accountability.
Well, there's some, but in any event, we don't want these. I mean, we do feel our hearts are still with the people, obviously, in Ukraine, and anybody else who's being overrun by Putin. But I wish you Europeans would take a bigger interest in helping to support them, and it wasn't all us. We got big problems in this country, and we're going into 2023 with probably even some bigger countries, but our hearts and minds are still with
absolutely,
especially our fellow sailors in Ukraine, and we've had the president of the Ukrainian Sailing Federation on this show,
Yes.
right? At the beginning of this year, right after the war broke out.
And they were extremely brave to do what they did.
Pindar's going to have a comment. Excuse me, he says. An IMA scarf may follow. Lead response team Larry. I don't know who that means. Luck is where opportunity meets preparation. Pindar's got a comment. We'll look forward to that. But yeah, it's a tough situation, as we all know. And I just hope the thing gets sorted out. I like that shot. Look at all the blue and yellow. It reminds me of the University of Michigan, my alma mater. Thanks, John Emmett.
Yes.
That's a shot he sent me while he was flying back. He's now in the taxi headed to his mother's farmhouse. And he said, I'm flying home for Christmas. I may even make it back in time for the show. Well, obviously he has. He's on here. And it's a delight to have all of John's submissions. John Emmett Sailing, get to the front of the floor. Thank you, John. Christmas miracle. After 10 weeks, Julia is back. And you know what? If I'm getting loosey-goosey, it's because...
I know. I'm
How's your cocktail?
Woo! It's good.
And they wouldn't let you drink over there, or you didn't want to drink? Or...
Oh, I didn't.
Ooh, I better have some more eggnog in that, or I will be crotonic.
Yeah.
More crotonic than usual. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good Mount Gay rum of yours that I stole.
Oh, that's
out of your
very
liquor
good
box.
stuff. It's supposed to be sip only.
Sip? Well, you pour it in with enough eggnog and some ice.
It's elegant and old.
Fishbeck, Rich says, time for another sip. Yep, indeed. Okay, thanks everybody for tolerating us. I have a 23rd of December. A lot happened on this day in history, as it turns out. And I have two for today, and I'm calling this, now this is one of your clues. This is the body parts edition. When I did the tech check with Julia, I wouldn't show her this.
No.
So that 1690 and 1888. Both of these relate to body parts, and both are tangentially related, to sailing. Here's your first clue. We'll start with 1888, then we'll go back to 1690.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recognize these gentlemen, Julia?
Yes, that's
They're painters,
yeah,
artistes.
yeah.
The one on the left
Oh,
is arguably the second most famous from the
God.
Netherlands, Vincent van Gogh.
yeah.
The one on the right, of course,
Gauguin.
Paul
I wouldn't have recognized Gauguin from that page.
Okay, so how does this relate to 1888 on this day? See if anybody's already got it. They're arguing about ears. Sweeney's got it. Morris Stevens has got it. Frank's got it. Ryman's got it. Van Gogh. Pindar, there isn't a single European viewer response. As it happens, the UK has been particularly supportive, not an unfamiliar position. Really? Okay, that's on the war, but let's stick with this day in history.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew, for that. So, as several of you have suggested, this is the day in history.
He lost his ear?
Yeah, in 1888, on which he cut off his ear with a razor blade.
Yeah.
And, the guy was mental, obviously. And he was in some kind of a tiff with Gauguin. And this is his 1889 self-portrait with a bandaged ear.
Mm-hmm.
And it was on this day that Vincent van Gogh cuts off his left ear with a razor after arguing with fellow painter Paul Gauguin, and sends it to a prostitute for safekeeping.
Well, of course. Where else would you send it?
Of course. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what happened on this date in history, 23 December, 1888. Now let's back up. Now, how does this relate to sailing? Well, not really. But I will say that here in the Beach Street Yacht Club, as you know, Julia, we have, thanks to my daughter Meg, we have two prints here.
Mm-hmm.
Prints, not princess. The Cafe Terrace at Night from 1888, the same period when the guy was painting these probably most famous paintings.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have that here
Mm-hmm.
in the Beach Street Yacht Club, not in the America's Cup Lounge, but outside of that. And then here in 1889 was his
Starry Night.
Starry Night. We do, thanks again to my daughter Meg, have prints of both of those, which we appreciate. So that was the 1880s. Now, what happened in 1690? Here's your first clue. Any idea?
1690.
Julie Aarons just came on. She's saying, "Welcome back, Julie. It's freezing cold here in Ohio. Only 4 degrees, and we have 4 degrees Fahrenheit. We have 4 inches of snow. 2 feet. 2 feet more expected." No, it's not Happy New Year. Well done, Stingray. It's about body. That's pretty good.
Yes.
It's about body parts. Who is this? It does relate to sailing. A hooker is a classic Irish sailing vessel, Graham Sweeney
Thank you.
says. He can't send his ear to a hooker. Okay, but what about 1690? Who is that? No one knows. Any of you Brits know who that is? It's your first astronomer royal. Anybody? Oh, people are Googling away. That is John Flamsteed.
Never knew him.
Who lived, I hope not, 1646 to 1719. And he, as I said, was the first astronomer royal. And I told you this segment is about body parts.
That's what it is.
So this is an Earth-based telescope shot. Jeff Waller saying, first cochlear hearing implant, maybe. This is the Earth-based telescope of what is your second clue related to this day. Sweeney's got it. Uranus. Body part, Uranus. Ryman's, wouldn't you know that Sweeney and Ryman get it? Uranus.
At the same time.
That is Uranus.
Yeah.
That's an Earth-based telescope picture. This is what that's the 7th planet. It's called a gas giant, mostly hydrogen and helium. And look at McIrvin. Now see this? There is the Renaissance man, our Fozy Andrew, Mr. Dr. McIrvin. He says, my wife belongs to the Flamsteed Society in Greenwich for stargazing.
Oh, I'm proud of her.
Wow. Pindar saying, replying to Pindar, distortion of the truth by Dominic. Oh, they're talking about, I don't know, they're talking about British politics. The 7th planet from the sun is a gas giant, mostly hydrogen and helium, known as Uranus. I told you it was a body part clue.
Yes.
You can shake your finger.
Yes, I will.
You can shake your
That's
finger.
enough. Yeah.
That shot was taken from Voyager 2 in 1986. That is Uranus, which in Greek apparently was the Greek god of the sky. And this Flamsteed gentleman was in 1675 made the King's Astronomical Observer, and with this became the first astronomer royal. In this role, he laid the foundation for the internationally renowned Royal Greenwich Observatory, where we've all been. If you're a sailor, you've certainly been there to the Maritime Museum, if you've been in the UK. He is best known for preparing the Catalogus Britannicus, my Latin is not forget, which cataloged 3,000 stars, and for his star atlas, Atlas Coelestic. He was also the first to observe Uranus, which he mistook for a star.
Easy to do.
A gas giant, I mean.
Easy to do.
So this historic event, in 1690, English astronomer John Flamsteed observes Uranus without realizing it's undiscovered. This day in history, 23 December 1690.
I think he had the same hairdresser as the.
Spit it out. Have another drink of your cocktail.
I know.
Come to you.
The composer Beethoven.
Oh, he does look a little bit like Beethoven, doesn't he? Okay, so really, did they? Stingray got the joke. Did they call it Uranus because it's a gas giant? That, Julia.
Oh, that
deserves. Stingray.
Enough. Move on.
Neil Collingridge, the esteemed father of a very good young sailor, lady sailor, and good friend of John Emmett. Now this cocktail is getting to me.
Yeah.
Flamsteed House is where the observatory is at the top of Greenwich Park Hill. Thank you. We're learning a lot of stuff. Finger wag, yay. Tom, your giggles indicate a certain childlike sophomoric sense. It's Julie.
For sure.
Julie, it's worse than that.
Sure.
I am just awful, and I admit it. I've never grown up. Okay, that was this day in history. Thank you for that. We're back here to show number 576. That video I showed from Ann Arbor.
Yep.
Did you? I said I
43.
show number 43.
I saw that.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
5.5 years ago, we had just started out. And you say, well, why aren't there 100 shows a year? Because for a long time, we only did one show. We did Tuesdays with
Right.
TFE, we called it,
Right.
for lack of anything better. And then we started doing, remember, for a while, we said it was Tuesday with TFE, and then it was Take 5 on Friday, Take 5. I don't know what it was
Yeah.
for the Friday show. We just finally simplified it. The wigs make Newton, Halley, etc. look similar. Good point, Mr. Dr. Andrew McIrvin. Luca Craig, going to get a finger wag, but back on the cutting off ear. Is that the first ear off? You can do it.
Oh,
You
that's
can.
it.
David James is saying, welcome back, Julie. You see him on here.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, dear. Dear. We better get on with the show before we get into trouble.
We may be in trouble already.
Oh, no doubt. But this is a 10-minute video. This is an awesome submission from Alistair. He is sitting with one of the most famous people in
Yes.
the modern history of our sport. Maybe in the history of our sport. The America's Cup winner 1983, aboard Australia 2, Elisa Skipper, longtime friend of mine, terrific guy, Renaissance man in his own right. And this is Alistair Murray with his awesome Aussie anecdote being played in by the Royal Naval Band of Australia and his interview with John Bertrand.
G'day, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozy. Welcome to AAAA, Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote for the week.
Who's Fozy?
Friends of Sailing Illustrated.
Got it.
And speaking of Friends of Sailing Illustrated, Tom, we've got a friend of yours here, an old mate, who needs no introduction. But for everybody, this is John Bertrand, and it's an absolute privilege to sit here with John. How are you, John?
I'm in good shape, and
Yes.
hello, Tommy. Although halfway around the world, God bless you.
You've had a bit of a history together.
Yes, we have.
Through the America's Cup. So the Sailing Illustrated is all about sailing in general, all aspects of sailing, but it really does have a strong America's Cup flavour, a lot of interest in the Cup, and having you here is a real treat for all the viewers, I'm sure. So 40 years ago?
39.
39 years ago.
Have you seen the documentary?
I certainly have, John. It was brilliant. Have all the Fozy seen the documentary? The reliving the Cup was brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it's on Netflix. It's Untold, the Race of the Century, and the viewers would be interested. We had no editorial input at all. They came out before COVID, they meaning the directors and the camera people and so on from LA.
Yeah.
And the first time I saw it was a week before it went live globally. So our heart was in the mouth in terms of how they're going to treat the story. And anyway, we were relieved, and then of course happy. The most important thing is the team were happy with the way it was put together.
It was brilliant. My only criticism, John, was the editing of the sailing footage. They were talking about the last race, and they'd cut to footage, and they'd be talking about you going to windward, but you'd have your spinnaker up. They didn't quite get all of that right.
No, don't let the that's just part of the
That's life.
people in LA. Yeah.
So let's go back to 1983. I'm sitting here having a coffee with John, and a lady just came up to us, Anne, and said hello, who John doesn't know, and she said how fantastic the show was and what vivid memories she had of the Cup and what it meant to her as an Australian. What's your most vivid memory of 1983, John? I mean, so many, but what stands out?
Wow. I think the comradeship of the team, the never give up type of environment, which we in this country are very proud of. Many countries are proud of their own values, but we call it the Aussie Anzac spirit. Came out of World War I actually, but back to the war when we came from 3-1 down to eventually able to win it. And so it was all these, and crossing the line, the sense of relief and then excitement, but the sense of relief that we could then go home after. That was my fourth America's Cup attempt.
Yeah.
And Australia had been involved a long time. It opened the game up totally. The following America's Cup in '87, there was something like 12 nations, I think, challenged. So it was a game changer. So all of those things being part of a country's history too.
Yeah. So, I know you've told us, you've talked about it so often, John, but I'm sure you don't get sick of it. But so we all know where we were on certain days in history, and in Australia, winning the America's Cup was one of those days for all Australians at that time. What do you think it meant for Australia winning the America's Cup?
Well, it's interesting when we look back, because it was a big deal. It was similar. We're told we're halfway, we're over in Newport, Rhode Island, but we're told it was similar to the celebrations at the end of World War II.
Yeah.
The country stopped. I met a guy the other day who was driving across Sydney Harbour Bridge. When we crossed the line and the traffic stopped, people got out and hugged each other on the Harbour Bridge.
Fantastic, yeah.
And the country ran out of green and gold ribbon, which is our national colours, as you know, and ran out of champagne, didn't buy a bottle of champagne. So why? Well, the world was going through a tough recession. We're talking about 1983, global recession. Our country the same. We also went through some terrible bushfires and droughts. Australia's a tough country to live in. And so, we needed heroes, and our backs were to the wall, and we were able to come back from the dead, I guess you could say, and it was a galvanising thing for our country. So it's still part of our country's, well, the boxing kangaroo flag is now part of our Australian Olympic program across all sports. It's our official or unofficial flag. And we created that for the 83 Cup. Red gloves for aggression, to take on the world. Pumped up chest for the pride of the nation. That was kind of the overview. So all of those things, we feel very proud to be involved, and very honoured to be involved as a sporting team representing our country. Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant, John. Now, along the journey, you crossed swords a few times with Tommy Eamon.
Yes.
Yeah? And any stories? Any memories?
Lots,
particular?
but we can't talk about it. So Tommy was advising Dennis Conner. I think either one or maybe two campaigns. Yeah. And Tommy's popped up in all different areas, all in the cone of silence, so we can't go global.
Yeah.
But anyway, very, very intelligent young man, Tom Eamon.
Oh, he's not young anymore.
I know that, but I say that with a great sense of respect.
Actually, he's between you and me in age. I know that. So, are you in touch with Dennis Conner at all?
I haven't spoken to Dennis for a long time. We're associates. Are we friends? Not really, but we're associates, and the respect them between us is sort of part of the history of sailing now.
Now, you're still a very active Etchell sailor, John, and I know that Dennis sailed him for a while too, so you would have actually competed with him following the Cup.
Yeah, that's right.
How was that? And tell us about your Etchell sailing now.
Well, I haven't. Yeah, Dennis hasn't. I've been sailing Etchells on and off for a long time. Yeah. Since, I didn't go near sailing after we won the Cup in '83 for probably 10 years. Then I got back into the Etchell class. I've just loved it. I'm currently. We're getting ready for the National Championships in Adelaide in the second week of January. I'm looking forward to that. Got two terrific young fellows sailing with me, and we're going to give it a crack. And I love the sport. It's fabulous, and the competition in the Etchells is still the best one design racing in the country by far. So I love crossing swords with all these current Olympic medalists and world champions. It's fun.
Fantastic. Now, everybody at Sailing Illustrated follows all sports, so just on a couple of other sports, quickly, swimming. You were the president of Swimming Australia.
Yeah.
So just tell the folks about what you achieved there, which is quite extraordinary.
Well, I took over. They asked me to get involved. I had no swimming background, but I have high performance background in terms of building teams. And the Swimming Australia asked me to come across and become president of the organisation. Initially, I said no, but I thought there's two major teams in Australia. One is our cricket team, and the other is our swimming team. And it was pretty dysfunctional coming out of London. One gold medal and a lot of disharmony in the organisation and so on. Anyway, fast forward, I retired just before I did my full 7 years. All pro bono, as you do. But the team was the most successful swim team in the history of our country. 9 Olympic gold and 20 medals in total. So it represented more than 50% of all the gold medals won by the entire Australian Olympic team. So there are a lot of reasons for that, but people working with people, a culture of trust and integrity in the organisation, and a big vision. Yeah. We discussed that walking around the track today, this morning, about what the game could look like in 20 years' time. Let's get there faster than anyone else in the world. So very empowering for people, particularly young people who have no fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, as president of Australian Sailing, I'm privileged to have John as a friend and be able to go for a walk around the Tan today with you and pick your brains on various aspects of the culture and the winning, how to go about a winning organisation.
We've been plotting on
plotting
how to have
beat the
Sailing
Americans.
Australia to be a dominant force.
Yeah, so look out, folks. We're coming for you. And on sport as well, who's going to win the World Cup? Because there's a lot of interest amongst the foes in the World Cup.
Sure. Well, gee.
Who's going to win that?
Well, the French obviously on paper. The French are currently playing Morocco as we speak.
1-0 is the last I heard.
Is it?
French.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, the French are highly fancied. The Brazilians, if it's France, Brazil, Argentina.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
not Brazil. They're out.
Yeah.
With Messi, big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah, it makes sailing look small, doesn't it?
Yes, it
There's
does.
a number of people
It
follow
does.
that.
That's right.
Yeah. All right, John. Well, that's about all we've got time for this morning. It's an absolute pleasure to catch up with you as always. Thanks for your words of wisdom today as we went for that walk. And you'll see Australia come back big time in sailing and be very successful.
And I would be disappointed if it's not the case.
Yeah. And also looking for good things from the Americans as well. I was telling John this morning about Daniela Moroz, for example, your kite surfer, where you've got some strong medal possibilities there
So
too.
how many world championships has she won?
She's 21 years old and she's won 6 world championships.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So a bright one.
Look after her, boys and girls.
All right. Well, that's our 10 minutes. Absolutely great to catch up with you, Tom, Julia. Hope you're feeling better, Julia. Greetings to all the Fozy and checking out from me and John Bertrand. Thanks, John.
No worries at all.
All right, good on you,
Thank
mate. See ya. Bye.
A world exclusive
Yes. What a
here
terrific.
on Sailing Illustrated. Thank you, Alistair. Thank you. How was that?
Horrific.
Horrific. Was that perfect and terrific
Yeah,
combined?
right.
Hey, I know Jeff Waller's going to want to use that for World on Water, and if you do, Jeff, it's fine with me. If you just then check in with Alistair. These guys are neighbors in Melbourne, and I actually knew John from the America's Cup, but I actually got to know him better in Formula One because when we'd go to Melbourne to do what was then the first Grand Prix of the year in March, it maybe still is. I can't keep track of the schedule, but we would always end up hanging out with John and Rasa, whose wife is a hoot and fantastic. I mean, this obviously the guy is a legend, having won the '83 Cup, coming from behind 3-1, winning 4-3. I was on the bow of the jury boat, and we were all aghast, but it was probably the best thing that happened
Yes.
to the sport.
You know my story about that.
What? You were
I was in
cheering for the Aussies.
I know.
Bloody hell.
We were. Yeah, absolutely.
Because you wanted the Cup to leave New York Yacht Club so St. Francis Yacht Club could challenge for it,
Absolutely.
not just help them with the fence.
Right.
Well, was that special? Alistair, thank you. You are something else. And look at all these comments. JB is a great role model for young, yes, he is, for just young athletes in general. The issue Emmett is saying is that kite surfing is now Olympics, so the standard will now improve a huge amount, but 3 years is probably not enough for other sailors to catch up. He's meaning to our St. Francis Yacht Club star.
Mm-hmm.
She is good. You guys are great. Cheers, Lunabos is saying. Luca Craig, what a legend John Bertrand is.
Indeed.
At the team that, as is the team that won the Cup. Very inspiring. And McIrvin's talking about the Andrew. Rather, I need to talk to you about the amateur pro rule. I've got a sailor a UK sailor who needs some help. We can talk about that. Ed Worley, a real Corinthian sailor, yes. David James across the bay here saying Etchells is the finest. Yeah, it's a terrific class. And Jeff Waller, their World on Water, was spending money in the U.S. helping Amex. Frank Jonathan saying this is outstanding. What an amazing guest, John Bertrand Stingray is saying. Yeah, and Emmett's also making a point here. Is it on that big picture? It's just off at the top of that. And John made a comment earlier on saying mental resilience, and this is one of his themes, and mental resilience. We say it's interesting how sailors have to adjust to the conditions. They teach us at every business school. You set a goal, you set a strategy, and then you're prepared to change your goals and strategy, especially your strategy, when the conditions change.
Mhm.
Ready, fire, aim is one of the things.
Yeah.
But JB and the Australia 2 team, what an amazing series that was. And Dennis Conner with a slower boat, arguably slower boat, I think it was, got it to 3-3, and he and Tom Wooden and co, Billy Trinkle, well, goes without saying. 40 years ago, right? 83, 93, 03, 13. It'll be 40 years this coming year, this coming September. Thank you, Alistair. Thank you very much for Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote, his best yet.
Yes, it was terrific.
Julie, he's going from strength to strength.
I know. Yeah.
Terrific stuff. Much appreciated. Okay. 14:02 here in San Francisco on Friday afternoon, the 23rd of December, as we not quite wind this one down. I promised you a big year-end recap. I'm going to do it next week because there's still news coming in. I have a couple of hot tips I'm investigating. So this year-end AC 37 update today. I've got an update, but not the big kind of analysis that I was hoping to do. We'll do that next week because we are going to do shows Tuesday next week. And then also, I think, I'm doing a live-to-tape show next Friday because I will be traveling next Friday. Here's the first news. This thanks to our Fozy in Tampa, Florida. Pensacola is retooling a $53 million Triumph port, that's their local big port, expansion request. Here's what's changing. They're gonna, I won't go into all the details, but the mayor is phasing in this project, and he's requesting the port, or he's requesting, I guess, for state funds to expand the port. And here's the key point. In this first phase, the Center for Maritime Excellence will be a new building at the port that will give New York Yacht Club, American Magic, a permanent, okay, there's a typo there in this Pensacola news story, but a permanent facility at the port, as well as allow for other tenants that focus on ocean sciences and maritime technologies, research.
What a nice thing.
And development. That's Jim Little, whom I don't know, writing in the Pensacola News Journal yesterday, and that's thanks to Bill Wingrove, our Fozy in Tampa, Florida, who has that publication on his watch list. So that's the news from American Magic. They've been training. I think they've broken now for the holidays. Ineos did this bugs me, this whole cycling thing. What, you laugh. Why do you laugh?
Because it bugs you.
Does it? Hey, you like it when it bugs me? That's great to have you back, Julia. That's really great to have you back. You laugh when something bugs me. In any event, these guys have just broken. They've had a cycling camp in Mallorca, and of course, the Ineos cycling team trains there. So that's one of the reasons several of you speculated why the Ineos Britannia America's Cup team has been training in Mallorca, and they've just had this training camp, I guess co-camp. There was some, I'm not going to bore you with the PR, but they've also been sailing. Finally, they've got their AC40 sailing, and here's their video from yesterday.
It's a cracking day for sailing out here on the Bay of Palma, 10 to 40 knots of wind. It was great to get the boat out and up on the foil for the first time, and really starting to put the boat through its paces. Still, a bit of work to do to get the boat fully operational, and then into maneuvers and really trying to tick off our testing schedule. So, yeah, good step forwards. Looking forward to the new year, and certainly wishing everyone a very Merry Christmas.
Short and sweet from Sir Ben, Ineos Britannia. Julie Aaron saying, what a wonderful interview, referring back to that Alistair's interview with JB. One of the most exciting days in sport that I have ever seen. I was there in Newport. I feel so lucky to have that memory. Julie Aaron saying, Marcel, her partner, was there, but we hadn't met yet.
Oh, that's fun.
John Emmett making the point that cycling and elite sailing has gone hand in hand for a long time. Yes, it's one of these things where I know a lot, especially Australians, but a lot of sailors also cycle for fitness purposes. Did you know that?
Only because you told me.
Any other comments here?
I don't know any sailors.
Yeah, David James talking about how nice Mallorca is. Yeah, Mallorca is fabulous. Emmett is saying, and you see him in his report today, Julie. He's got his cycling helmet on.
Yeah.
And he's out. You know, it's just bicycling, but they also use it for training purposes.
Oh no, and he's
Good.
you know he talked about that before.
Aerobic training.
Yeah.
John's saying our program has very nearly as many cycling days as sailing. Cycling and sailing are both anaerobic sports.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. So that's from Sir Ben. Now we have the video from Luna Rossa released just today. I think this came out. Have a look. Kind of their year-end review.
I've been missing them.
That's not me. That's the way they cut that film. It's a little well, not disturbing, but it's a little disturbing. And that's from Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli.
They're looking speedy.
They are looking speedy, and of course they're back on the water now. Some days after having tried, they lost the rig overboard on the hard stand when they were trying to step it into the boat before lowering the boat into the water. Lot of straight line sailing from the AC teams, Jeff Waller saying. Indeed. And Alistair Murray talking about cycling, saying, I ride 10,000 kilometers every year. Not bad for an old fart. And on. One more video. This from ETNZ. Now, they've been training. They've got two. Apparently, Ineos gave them their AC40, because remember, Ineos built a bespoke AC40 or LEQ 12, as did Luna Rossa.
Oh.
So now, apparently, and Richard Gladwell's been reporting this, apparently now the Kiwis have been doing two-boat testing with two AC40s. Their original one, which they've now fixed, remember, it crashed into the water and the bow got split up. And apparently now they have fixed the one which was to go to the Brits, and the Brits have said, well, you can use it. So whatever that quid pro quo was. You okay, Julia? Maybe you need more cocktail.
I think so. Yeah, I know.
Okay, let's watch this video.
Hi, I'm Sam H. I'm a sailor for Emirates to New Zealand.
Fantastic. Thank you for giving us your time this afternoon, Sam. It would look like a fantastic session out there today, like sort of building breeze from 8 through to about 14, maybe 15. Beautiful sunshine and flat water. How was your day? It looked glamorous.
It was fantastic. For me, I haven't been on the boat for a little while, so this time I got to go trimming. Yeah, it was hot, and like you say, the breeze built. I was shorts and t-shirt the whole day, so it's fantastic.
Fantastic, you know, and obviously it's only the second day with this boat, and you're busting out manoeuvres left, right and centre, and we didn't have a dud today. We did 36 tacks and 33 jibes and didn't duff one of them, so, you know, we autopilot.
Learning to trim, you know, for me, I felt like I was duffing a few of them, but hopefully it looked a bit better off the boat than it felt like on at times.
Well, you certainly didn't do any crashing down. There were a couple of moments, straight lining, where you seemed to, okay, no, let's have a rest here, or something not quite right.
We did a few crew changeovers, so Marcus and I both had a go today, and Pete on trim as well.
I did notice today, and this is just spitballing, but maybe running a bit more twist in the main.
Well, that's learning, you know, often we're on the safer side.
Understand, okay.
So I think, pretty normal.
Pretty normal just to work into it, not full horsepower straight away.
Yeah.
Awesome. How has this last 4 months gone for you? Do you feel that your prep time in this last 4 months compared to the other teams, where do you think you're at?
Oh, I mean, it feels like we're going well. Obviously, we only know what's going on with the recon. It looks like the other teams are all getting good sailing now, so I'd say we're all moving forwards, and for us it feels like we're progressing really fast. I mean, I'm new to the campaign, and it's just amazing how much work goes on behind the scenes.
Definitely. I mean, it is a full team effort. Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Thank you for your time. Enjoy your Christmas party.
No worries. Looking forward to it.
We got to get John Emmett and or Richard Gladwell, somebody to help these guys with their audio. I'm seeing the. Why do we have a black screen there? I'm seeing the audio, and unfortunately, they've got stereo audio, but the main commentator is on both channels, so that's why he's so much louder than the sailor who's only on one channel. And I can see it on the meters here in the studio. They got to clean that audio up. And apologies, and actually Alistair Murray apologized for the audio on that video because they were out on the street and he didn't realize how much traffic noise there was, but I could hear it okay. I EQ'd it a bit for the voice. And thanks again, Alistair. What a terrific piece that was.
Absolutely.
Our Christmas miracle, after 10 weeks, Julia is back. 16 shows when she was in the convalescent home with her. Can you hold your, I don't know, we can catch it on camera too. Your shoe is in some kind of a boot. Does that help?
No, I was in a terrible big boot.
Yeah, but now you're in some kind of a
now
rehab.
I'm in a sandal. It's like being free.
Well, you can go to the beach.
Yeah.
You can go to the beach. We are doing a Bravo Zulu now. And this is Bravo Zulu to the CYCA, Cruising Yacht Club of Australia, to the Rolex Sydney to Hobart yacht race. And these videos, they keep turning out. We played one on Tuesday with somebody kind of in a mid-sized, low-key team. Very good team, nonetheless, but explaining, and this is an older gentleman's name escapes me, and his last apparent race, he's, in his late 60s, early 70s, maybe older. But here is at the top of the pecking order, and several of you have asked, why has Ian Murray gone from Waxy and gone over to Comanche? And it's because Waxy didn't sail for a couple of years.
That's true.
And now Ian, who sailed with them, he obviously got picked up by Comanche, and he stuck with him. And here's a 6-minute interview about his helping to improve the performance of Comanche. Very interesting. Bravo Zulu. Have a look.
Ian Murray, early in the campaign, you were talking a little bit about how the boat was being sailed. I wonder whether you can give us a few pointers on what in particular you're learning about a different way of sailing it, especially in light airs.
Yeah, look, I think I sort of highlighted the areas I thought we could make some improvements to Comanche, and from my time sailing on Wild Oats against her, clearly the Oats had an advantage in the lighter breezes, and you could categorise that into a number of different lightnesses of breezes. And I think where we are today is that, we've sort of got a reasonable idea of how we're performing against those boats. And from 12 knots, I think we can sail faster than Wild Oats Blackjack, and between 8 and 12 knots we can hang in there with them, and below 8 knots we suffer. And so, so the work is in front of us to minimise the damage and then maximise the damage. And we had a really good run up the coast and through Hamilton Island, and that to really get a good handle on a lot of different conditions and work on those sort of principles and framework around sailing the boat in the lighter breezes. And it's all dinghy sailing really, because the boat is essentially a big dinghy. And so it's the fundamentals of heel and balance and sail trim and weight forward and minimising wetted surface area, and just being very cognizant of all of those inputs and making sure that, you have the discipline to maximise everything you can to achieve those goals.
So marginal gains, really. I noticed on the Bird Island race you had half the crew right up near the bowsprit there in that very light air getting out of the harbour.
Yeah, so that's all part of it, getting the boat bow down. It's no different, to having your crew on the foredeck of your Cherub when you're, 15 years old. It's all the same discipline. And so we just have to do it, and we have to be aggressive doing it. And I think from what we've seen is that, making sure the boat's suitably attired in terms of the equipment on board. We race the race and we prepare for the race on the forecast, and we crew it accordingly, and then we race it with all of those things like you said, bow down, heel, make sure we're sailing the boat as fast as we can. The boat has a threshold where it breaks its stern wave at about 9 knots, and we have to really strive to do that.
And having a sort of different mindset perhaps with a core of 18-foot skiff sailors, as well as some of the more experienced guys like Pablo and others who've been on the boat for a long time, must be pretty important, yeah?
Yeah, there's a marriage there of sort of skiff and long ocean miles, and fantastic having that blend and come together. And obviously, sort of there's always, this is the way we do it, whether it's on a skiff or on a Volvo Ocean Race or a thing. And sort of luckily we have a very cohesive sort of, I think, nature of the cruise. And having that sort of month away on Hamilton Island, all living in one house, was really good foundation for what we're going to go through in December.
I got the privilege to come on board on Thursday, a pretty blowy day at Hamilton Island, and apart from just seeing the extraordinary coordination, the thing that really struck me was how far ahead you had to be thinking, not just the next mark, but the next bear away after that, and that being passed through the crew. That's presumably in short stuff. Are you still needing to do the same kind of approach offshore?
Oh, I think that starts, you're basically racing the race before you leave the dock, and you have to be prepared for that with the sails and equipment. You have to prepare your sort of run sheet for what the race is going to look like. And ideally you've run through all that in the morning with the crew in terms of this is where we're going to go, this is the likelihood of the sails, we need to have this one ready, this one stacked there, sheets prepared for this, sheets prepared for that. As you say, everything's big, it's heavy, every sail weighs in excess of 200 kilos. It doesn't happen quickly, so the more you can be prepared to roll it out, the execution of the race and the manoeuvre is more likely to, happen in an efficient way.
Always the tricky bit in Hobart is those light transitions, especially for Comanche, presumably kind of really trying to get early speed when it's getting up above 8 or 9 knots is really key, because obviously when you're really stuck, you're stuck, but it's getting those early miles, shortening them up a bit, I guess, yeah?
Yeah, it's trying to avoid, the potholes, and, even if we have to sail a little bit longer, just stay out of those no wind areas, and the forecasting is so good, and we've placed an emphasis on it by having 2 specialised navigators on board, because it can creep up on you quickly, and and sometimes you're blind to it. So really, any sort of concentration and studying and watching the information as it's happening in real time is critical to us, and particularly at night. So that's our game plan. We're just on it.
2 of the best interviews I think we've had in one show.
Yes.
Huh?
Fabulous.
Don't you think?
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks to Balcaddy Media for letting us have that. And thanks to Ian Murray, who's a longtime friend, as is JB. And the Aussies, this time of the year, it's all happening in Australia and to a degree in New Zealand. And I saw a nice comment on here from, we've got hundreds of comments today.
Yes.
No surprise, but it's really nice. But didn't I see one? Okay, I'm not going to find it. It's so far back because we've had so bloody many comments. So just about hold that JB interview and now this one. So nice stuff. Mm-hmm. Thank you, everybody. And thanks again to Balcaddy Media and Bravo Zulu, to Ian, but also to the CYCA for turning out high quality stuff here. And again, just to promo this watch party. It's in 2 days' time. Bloody hell.
That's incredible.
Sunday night. It's Christmas is here, Julia.
I miss Christmas. I miss Christmas this year.
And you're back in time. It's the Christmas miracle. Julia's back at the Beach Street Yacht Club. Sydney to Hobart Yacht Race Watch Party, 17:30 Pacific, here on Christmas night, the 25th. You're 26 down under, of course, and it's on Zoom. We're not going to do this on our normal streaming channels because I don't want to risk any copyright problems if Channel 7 down there was to get excited about us or with us. So do it on Zoom. There, John Emmett has posted. I'm going to do that again, just if you want to jot those down. I will also promo those numbers. The Zoom ID 267-220-6570, passcode TFE for our Zoom.
And you can keep it on your Zoom webpage.
Yeah.
Because it's always the same. So.
Well, normally is. Yeah, normally is. We don't like to tell people. You can tell all the Fozy on here, but we don't want other croutons if we're doing something private. But I can change it too. Yeah. Good point, Julia. John Emmett replying to Jonathan Frank. First things first, I would like to get Romania to their first ever sailing Olympics. That's that was a question. ROU was a question earlier on, and I think John answered that. And that's his mentee. and that's going well for John. She's in the hunt, maybe for a medal.
That'd be great.
We are to Whiskey, Tango, Foxtrot, and we're actually going to do a little segment after this, a holiday segment. But here, now Graham Sweeney, or at least Gordon Smith, and a couple others of you who think I'm carrying on too much about Harry and Meghan Markle, Sussex. This came from one of our foes. Graham Sweeney sent this in. He said, the Duke of Sussex pub has renamed their house ale Harry's Bitter. You got to have a sense of humor about this. I mean, whether you like these two or not, doesn't matter. Thanks, Graham Sweeney, for that. And with all this talk about transgenderism and all this, you got to have a sense of humor about this. My generation had Wonder Woman. This generation wonders if it is a woman. Huh? Come on, Julia. Don't you think that's funny?
I don't think that's true of most people.
Well, I know I'm teasing, but who's that from? It's from Ryman, of course. He sends in the best one. Now, here's one you get your finger ready for, Julia. This is my lower third is not correct. I said it. I called it a captain contest. I meant a caption contest. Obviously my graphics department failed me again.
Oh, awful.
A prostitute. Huh? You gonna shake your finger at that? Or not?
I think that's good.
You are. Okay. Well, then we won't. Well, we did play the sound effect already. That's also from Graham Sweeney up there in Scotland, and Yell way up north. You know, I was thinking, I'm going to leave that up for a second because I like it. I was thinking when I was doing that weather segment at the top of the show, you know, Graham Sweeney and that gang up there, they have every other week, they have seas that are 12 to 18 feet and cold and breezy and bumpy. And
yeah, that's true.
A prostitute.
And we sit here and complain because it's so cold and it's 50 degrees.
Exactly. It's just sip, sip. They must be having a drinking contest on your finger wagging, Julia. Now, Julia, this is for you since you're in a chair now to get you down here while your foot continues to heal.
Yeah.
And this was sent in by another one of our funny Posey. Can someone move my chair back a little bit because Chet's nuts are roasting on an open fire. Come on, it's funny. Prostitute. James Frederick Bland liked that one.
Yes.
I don't know, but I've been told Eskimo is mighty cold. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. I like that one.
Yes.
Thanks, Jim Palmer, who's here in the USA, sails down in SoCal. This one also came from Graham Sweeney. There's the guys on the old, big old tall ship. Just done finally coiling all the lines. Ready about, the captain or the somebody calls and he says, oh, God.
Yeah.
Here we go again. That must have been something to be on those boats back in the day and try to get a square rigger.
They got used to it, though. I mean, they did it at night. Conrad sailed on those
Well,
babies.
he did as a kid, didn't he? On a tall ship. That was a sail training. Okay, thanks, Graham Sweeney, for that. That gets us to the finish line. And our finish line today is just to, as we invited any of you who wanted to send in Christmas cards, and a lot did and did anyway, as I am media, I suppose. This from American Magic. We take Santa pretty seriously around here. I thought that was a nice tweet that they did this morning. Luca Craig wishing everybody Merry Christmas. James Frederick Bland saying, yep, sheets and braces ready about. This from American Magic as well, and it was a card that came just before air. And I can only read Terry Hutchinson's signature. I'm not sure who the other signatures are on that card. Alistair Murray saying, cheers, Tom and Julia. This came from Ineos Britannia. Nice Christmas card just today. Came in as well. Happy holidays from Ineos Britannia. From the whole of Ineos Britannia, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. It's been a great year, and we look forward to your continued support into 2023. And typically, Luna Rosa Prada Pirelli, that is it. They sent this card, probably a, who took the photo, but fabulous photo, seasons, greetings. This from our good friend, longtime Italian friend, Judge Alfredo Ricci, is also a real contributor to the sport, chairing committees and helping out at the ISAF level. This came from the British sailing team. Several of you sent this to me. It had rock and roll music that I was afraid was going to break the copyright, so I put my own music on it, but it was kind of cool. The British sailing team on there, I guess John Emmett, that's an IQ foil. In fact, Emmett is saying that's Emma Wilson. Thanks again to several of you who sent that along. It was the British sailing teams. Where is that, John? Is that in Weymouth? I don't think that's in Villamora. Emmett will tell us in the comments, I hope, where that was shot. But a nice Christmas ending to our video courtesy of the British sailing team. And a couple more here. I don't know these people, but they're Swedish. Husted probably knows them. Sailed into Christmas with Hallberg Rassy. It's a sail-making or a yacht brokerage firm, and that was sent to me today, and thanks to Ted Ryman for forwarding that. And
quite nice.
Yeah, it's really, there's some beautiful cards. This is funny. I don't think they meant this as a card, but this is the Star Sailors League, which of course didn't happen this year as planned. Apparently it's going to, hopefully it happens next year.
Yeah.
And the quote is, "When we try to wrap our Christmas presents properly."
Yes.
From the esteemed photographer Martina Orsini, who we use a lot of her stuff through the year. And I thought it would be nice to tell, oh yeah, H&R. Okay, J. Frederick Bland knows them, the Swedish sailmaking company. And for those of you who don't know Martina, she is a fabulous human being and a great photographer. And there's a picture of her at what is flat water? I wonder where that was taken. The Moth class there in the back. Thanks, Martina, for all. Hallberg Rassy Yacht Builder. Oh, Husted knows them. They make very good blue water cruising boats. McIrvin knows them too. Andrew does, so that's interesting. Hallberg Rassy. A couple more. This from the GC32 class. I appreciated them sending it along. We didn't follow them too closely this year. But a great class and a great event. Astrid van den Hove from Netherlands sent that. She did that. Actually, she drew that for the class in her card. And finally, from our good friend James Pleasance and the World Match Racing Tour, this card, see you all in 2023. Thanks, James, for that. And with that, Julia, we get to your favorite slide.
Yes. Like, follow, and share means an awful lot.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Just takes one little trick on your.
Indeed. Clark Chapin always at this point says, "I've already done it. I would help the rest of you." Well, it does help us.
Yeah,
Indeed.
and sharing is especially good, and it's easy to do.
In fact, I don't know if you saw the show last week, Tuesday, in fact, when Facebook now publishes a list of our major, I can't remember the term of art, but the people who, some combination of likes, shares, comments, on and on and on. And Steve Groover was at the head of that list by far.
Yeah.
And I get that list every, like on a Monday from the preceding week. So we'll run that. Jonathan Frank, so glad to hear Julia say it. Yep. Instead of me saying like, follow, and share. But of course, comments are welcome too, even if you're watching this in replay. And again, please become a patron. Help us with $1 or $2 or $5, or send us a check, or send us, as Rich Fishbeck does, you can send us a meal. He sent us a couple of meals. Remember when we were doing watch parties during the America's Cup, or a bottle of booze? Everything helps, but we appreciate very much your support. Fog Machine saying happy holidays. So good to see Julia once more. Don Lunabos, thank you, sir. Good and show. Happy holidays. We'll see you Christmas night. I hope many of you. Morris Stevens, I hope everyone has a happy holiday season. May you cherish the time you spend with friends and family. For those suffering through loss, may peace be with you. What a nice thought. Alistair, thank you for your Christmas greetings, and on and on and on. And I must say, Julia, this is our family, and people,
yes, absolutely.
especially our patrons, patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated.
Thank you for the warm welcome, you guys.
Exactly.
Good.
Again, it's like the second coming of Christ. Your chief of staff wheels you in here, and we pushed a couple buttons and went on the air like it was 10 weeks ago, no problem.
Yes.
You did well. You didn't, despite having that cocktail. We should finish our cocktail probably.
Oh, yes.
Did you have any left?
Yes, of course.
Now, do you think that's what I have left? Do you think I had a refill?
You had a refill.
Ooh. on the USA's National Eggnog Day.
Mm-hmm.
And Julia, we want to thank all of our friends and family who watch the show and all of our FOSI, because without you, we do this for you. We don't do it for ourselves.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of work putting one of these together. It's a lot of fun doing the show. You can
Yes.
tell we have some fun. And we appreciate very much all of you doing this. And we'll do this watch party on our Sunday night, your Monday down under, for Boxing Day for the start of the Rolex. Sydney to Hobart. Again, the Zoom ID 267-220-6570. Passcode is TFE, and we'll advertise that.
Yes.
Thanks to everybody who gives us video and audio and images for the show. Julia, final word?
It's a good thing to share that we're doing the watch party for Sydney Hobart, because nobody else will probably have it.
Well, exactly. You'll have to have a VPN to get it.
Yeah.
If you're outside of Australia to watch the town, I have a VPN, I have the television, and Channel 7 knows I'm doing it. They want us to do it privately, so we'll do that. Happy birthday to Alistair Murray. Cheers to Peter Taylor. Kampai. Salud. Yep. Steve Atkins, hope you're doing well with your long COVID. John Emmett, thanks for all you do for your contributions. John Schaefer said, I just spilled my eggnog while driving. I hope it didn't have anything in the eggnog. Graham Sweeney, it's so nice to have the Sailing Illustrated team back on the sheets. I'm not sure what that means. But Ted Ryman, thanks to you. Thanks, Thierry de Jong. Thanks, everybody, for all your support and interest this year. And we'll see you. We'll have a couple more shows next week.
Yep.
3. Sunday night, Tuesday, and then probably live to tape for Friday. And then we'll be into the bloody new year, Julia. 3 more shows in this current year. Hard to believe. Really good to share at the beginning of the show. Emmett is saying, well, yeah, we love to have Emmett's report as well. Okay, thanks, everybody. Thanks, Julia. We hope to see you all Sunday night for the watch party. And if not, for sure on Tuesday when we'll be live in the normal way. Have a great Christmas. And in the meantime, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now.